Hello and welcome to Dragon Talk, everyone. I am Greg Tito. I am joined by the amazing Shelly Mazzanoble.
Oh!
That's you.
Oh, I thought somebody else was joining us.
No. Well, in fact, two other people will be joining us.
I'm very excited about that.
We're going to talk some more Adventurers League stuff with Travis Woodall and Claire Hoffman, two admins from the D&D Adventurers League. Our second episode in going through all of these 6 admins and letting us know what they do and why D&D Adventurers League is so pretty awesome.
Yes.
Yes.
If anyone can tell us, they can tell us.
Exactly.
Well, and probably the people who play in Adventurers League.
A lot of them tell us all the time. And Chris Lindsay tries to talk to us about it.
And he does too.
Yeah, exactly. But these people are on the ground floor making it all happen.
Making it awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So they're on the standby. They're waiting on the Skypes right now as we speak. So I feel like we got to get through what's going on in Dungeons & Dragons land.
Okay.
What's going on with you, Shelly?
Well, you know, same old.
Your birthday's coming up.
Making some games. It is.
You're going to be, how old?
30.
I was going to go with 29.
Oh, no, I'm turning 30 this year.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Big 3-0.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Are you going to go get mojitos?
Oh, I'm going to just tear it up.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. Probably go shopping at Forever 21.
I hear they have Dungeons & Dragons shirt there now.
Are you serious?
No, but they should. We're on it. We're on it.
Oh my
Hillary
God.
Ross is making it happen.
Wow.
All over the town.
All right.
And then, go out to see a show.
Yes. No, I'm just going to go out, but not until like 11 at night. Like that's
what all the young people do.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, you don't start actually your night until like 1 a.m. And you're like, let's go to the EDM dance raves.
Pre-funk for like 5 hours and then go out, have dinner.
Yeah.
And then go out dancing.
Like all millennials do.
Yeah. I am a millennial. I'm a millennial.
It's true.
Aww.
You would be if you were 30 years old.
Yeah.
Exciting and new.
30 plus like decade and some change, but whatever.
I know you failed your deception roll pretty early.
Why do people lie about their age and make themselves younger?
I think it's a pride thing, right? Like you want to be like, oh, I'm still young and available or something.
But why?
What kills me is when people who are like married and have kids and are like very in their lives, and they still want to be like, no, by the way.
But also, like, don't you want to look good for your age?
That's right.
Like if I was seriously like, oh, I'm 30, there's like people right now that are going.
Like, what's wrong with me?
What?
Yeah.
Have you heard of sunscreen, woman? So, I mean, I would rather just tell people I'm going to be 52, and hopefully somebody's going to say, she looks pretty good for 52.
I didn't even think about that. Like, go the other way.
Age up.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that, too. I'm going to start telling people that. I'm like, I'm 65. I can still run on the treadmill.
Yeah,
and,
I saw you in the gym today.
Exactly. We were gymming
laughing.
I wasn't laughing as much this time, was I?
We have very different treadmill distractions.
Yeah.
Because you always are like, whoa, laughing. And today I was watching This Is Us. I got a little teary-eyed. Like crying on the treadmill.
Oh my gosh.
On the treadmill.
I thought of you and our conversations about going to see theater and all this stuff when I watched the show Red Oaks. It's a great show. Everybody should watch it. They just had their 3rd season, but there's this character in it who goes to see cats because it's set in the 80s. And it's not even like a really long scene. It's maybe like 30 seconds, but he's there with his like new girlfriend, and he's crying, sobbing at watching cats. And I immediately was like, that's me. That's what I look like. That is what I do. And then afterwards, he's like talking and kind of like being critical of the show. Like I would totally have that experience.
You're
totally
just moved by something.
Emotionally moved by, especially theater. If like people are singing in like a stage thing, I lose it.
It just moves you.
I lose it.
When I hear people sing "Happy Birthday," I get emotional. Like it's not like to me. It's like we'll just be in a restaurant, just hanging out, and then like it's the waiters coming up and "Happy birthday to you." I'm like, oh my God, somebody's having a birthday, and it makes me sad.
I always think of Michael Jackson.
And you know what else I noticed on my birthday last year when people were singing to me?
When you turned 28?
When I turned, no, it was 29 last year. Quinn was emotional.
Oh, you're making a little
He's
Shelley.
Getting that.
You're making a little Shelley.
And he went to the theater last week with his preschool.
Uh-huh.
They saw Cinderella. And he got super emotional. The teacher said, like, I had to go get him and have him sit next to me because he was sad and scared.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be in the same boat.
He's like a little Greg Tito.
He is going to be moved by theater and performance and art and singing from now on in his life.
Yes.
Maybe he'll be a bard.
He could
like
be.
that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So
What's going on with you? What's happening?
I'm playing some Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Thinking about Daryl Two Shoes. And
are you bringing him back?
Maybe I should.
Greg and I are in a new game starting this week.
Bring back Drunky Two Shoes and Daryl Two Shoes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're good tabaxis.
Yeah, no, they didn't really get a chance.
Did they? We didn't really even flesh out their backstory too much. Like,
No.
were they raised from the same litter?
I think so.
Yeah, like they were raised together.
I
And
feel like Daryl was kind of the runt, and Drunky was like his protector.
I think that might be right. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
and
makes
I
sense.
feel like he's also a little bit embarrassed by her.
I think so.
He's trying
Yeah.
to have like more of a normal
Yeah,
life.
he
and
went the
she-
stern, like, I'm going to be a soldier. I'm going to work at being, going against type for Tabaxi and, like, be, like, super responsible.
and she's all in.
Yeah.
She is banging her tambourines and running through the
Castanets.
jungle on the back of a dinosaur.
Yeah.
We don't even know what we're playing, though,
I know.
on Thursday. We know nothing.
It's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll be in Chult anymore. They might be in a whole new world.
I have no idea. He wouldn't tell me anything.
Yeah, I like it.
I don't even really know who's playing with us.
I don't either. Pelham is.
Pelham, are you playing?
I am.
Do you
good.
want to be part of the Two Shoes family?
Are you in our litter?
You could be. You really could be.
Did you make your character yet?
I did.
So we're gonna have to have Pelham on and like do a whole interview with him at some point, I think. But in Dungeons and Dragons land, I feel like it's January 25th. And so much is happening. There is an amazing event happening in Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where you can get, as a playable character, Regis from the...
From Live with Kelly? And
Yeah, that's what I said.
of course you did.
But I went with Kathy Lee because it will always be
Oh,
Regis
yeah,
and
you're
Kathy
right.
Lee in
Yeah.
my hearts of hearts.
Yeah, that was good.
In our group, you're Regis, right? And I'm Kathy Lee.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
But no, Regis from Bob's books, The Crystal Shard.
Oh,
he's one of the
nice.
companions. You can play as him. Should be
That's really cool.
Really exciting.
Yeah.
And we announced, or rather our friends, Cryptic Studios, announced that a new expansion to Neverwinter is coming out. It's going to be the final update in the Tomb of Annihilation kind of storyline.
Okay,
it'll
very
be,
good.
It'll be out in February 27th on the PC, with the PS4 and Xbox One releases soon after.
All right.
Should be pretty exciting.
Do you have any announcements?
For me, myself,
Just in general?
I'm
D&D?
having a baby. No, I wish. Wouldn't that be great?
You wish? Are you serious?
I'm a terrible person.
Oh, my God.
Who likes
Erin,
children.
are
I
you
know.
watching this?
She probably isn't, but maybe she will
She
be.
probably is.
This was me
dead.
telling her. By the way,
Erin, we're having a baby.
it's the show. I'm birthing a
Well,
new
that's
show.
very exciting.
Yeah,
for you.
that's exciting.
Yeah.
What about? I don't have any other announcements.
Okay.
I know you've got lots of things in the hopper for 2018 for Avalon Hill, but we'll have to go into more detail in the months to come when that all happens.
Yeah.
All right.
And soon when Rob is done
Yes.
working on this amazing legacy game,
It's
we're going to have him on.
yeah. I mean, I wonder what Rob's legacy is going to be.
It's interesting.
Game design.
What is your legacy?
It's like, well, it might just be legacy.
Might just be the legacy. The legacy.
Nice. Well, I had an awesome conversation with Jeremy Crawford about encounter building.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, let's move on to our little sage advice segment with some bings and some bongs.
Okay.
Right about now, and then we'll get to our interview. Sound
Yes,
like
let's
fun?
do it.
All
Yeah,
right.
bye-bye.
Let's bing bong it up.
Barp.
Hi.
Hi.
We're hot.
Ryan said so.
Ryan said we're coming in hot, so that means we're in
here.
hot. That was a really good segment with Jeremy.
I know so much about encounter building.
Exactly. And then what the best part about that is there's no rule for what makes a good encounter. There's no one thing in our books that's going to make it fun. The rule is, did people enjoy it?
Yeah,
And
but
that's it. And you're going to have guidelines and things to help you make that decision, but it will always change based on like rolls of the dice, what Drunky Two Shoes to mess everything up.
she makes things more fun.
She really does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of
tries
people
hard.
who make fun, that's called the segue, people. I'm a professional.
The D&D Adventurers League?
We're going to talk about the D&D Adventurers League. So let's call up Travis Woodall and Claire Hoffman and talk all about it.
Let's do it.
All right. Hi, guys.
Wow, that was fast. This is like a cooking show where we say we're going to put this in the oven for 30 minutes. But really, we happen to have one already prepared.
They were here, right, the whole time.
Weird.
Hi, Claire.
Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going pretty well.
Good. And Travis, hi.
Hi.
We can see you, Travis, so everyone will know when you're talking, so I have to listen to when Claire is talking. So you guys are admins for the D&D Adventurers League. What does that mean? You guys are in like the content section of those admins, right? That's what, at least that's what Chris Lindsay told me. Is that true?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. What does that mean?
Tell us more.
Well, Claire and I are responsible for
Travis
developing
is
the story
main
that
admin,
accompanies
and I'm his
the
assistant.
Can you guys not hear each other?
Adventure.
Wait, hold on. I'm going to stop you. Can you guys not hear each other?
I can't hear Claire.
I can't hear Travis now.
Oh, this is getting more and more fun by the minute.
This is going to be some hosting fun for us.
This is actually good. We could see if you're lying.
That is good because then we can actually we'll have to point to you and be like, all right, well,
No, we can't point.
we'll audibly point to you, and then we'll say like, Claire, this is now your turn to talk.
What do you do?
Yeah, and we'll edit all this out in post, guys. It's amazing.
Get it in post.
We'll get it in post. All right, so Claire, you tell us, what does being the content side of the D&D Adventurers League is all about?
It's about getting the adventurers together and deciding where we're going and what we're doing. And Travis normally works out a narrative for the season, and then we work out concepts and send them to Mr. Lindsay, and once they're approved, we send them to Bill, and he goes find authors for it. And then we edit them when they come in.
Oh, I see.
That's how you guys work with
that is interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, all that stuff that you said about Travis was really horrible.
Wow. But
I'm so glad he didn't have to hear that firsthand.
You'll have to listen to the show, Travis. Sorry.
No, we're just kidding. So you guys, to go back a little bit, you create the like narrative arc for the season based on either the book releases that Dungeons & Dragons team is putting out with, or the adventures, and come up with the overall plot essentially, and then the folks we talked to previously on Dragon Talk, Bill Benham and Greg Marks, they're the ones who do like individual episodes essentially. Like, so you guys create the arc for the campaign in a way for the seasons, and then they fill in and write each individual adventure. Did I get that right?
No.
Oh.
No. Okay. So I'm gonna take it away from you, Claire, and give it to Travis. You tell me what I got wrong there.
So what Claire and I do, we develop the narrative for the story, and we base that on the adventure and the materials that we get in advance of the hardcover adventures release. And then from that narrative, we make concepts for each adventure. So if we're going to have, for example, for this season, we have 19 adventures, we'll make 19 different concepts that'll have a brief description of like the blurb, if you're familiar with previous incarnations of organized play. So a brief description of what the adventure is, any persistent elements that we want, like the adventure should feature this bad guy, or it should go to this location. And then also we assign the magic item, because each adventure has a magic item in it. And then as well as any faction activity that we want to put in it. And then those concepts we give to Bill and Greg assign those to authors, who then work in dark, dusty rooms without windows for a few months, and then turn over the product to us, where we edit and review them. And
okay, so my analogy was wrong, but now it actually sounds more like you guys are the showrunners. If I was using like a TV analogy, you are the people who are coming up with the not letting the episodes write themselves, but be like, okay, these are the outlines of where the episodes need to be. And
correct.
And then
yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Claire, does that make sense to you? Did I get that right? That you guys are more like the showrunners rather than the overall narrative arc people?
She is angry at you.
She's angry at me right now.
She doesn't want to talk.
Can she not hear me now?
Claire?
Oh, God.
Claire?
Claire, are you alive? Caller, are you there?
The
Okay.
plot?
Oh, there she is.
Okay.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good.
Could you not hear me?
No, we couldn't hear you, but now we can.
All right.
All right, so go back and say what you just said. Is the idea of the showrunner as a TV analogy here, like the idea, like that you guys kind of act as showrunners for the whole arc as a whole, and then the individual adventurer writers will just take your outlines and kind of flesh them out a little bit more with the magic items and whatnot. Does that all make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. Phew.
Okay.
We got there.
We got there. So what's the relationship with the writers? Do you ever have back and forth with the writers? Do the writers ever say, I got an idea, I'm going to add more to the story? And do they have the freedom to do that?
Who are you directing that question
I'll
to?
direct that question to Travis.
So yes, before it was kind of everything went to Bill. Bill worked with the authors. The authors shot their stuff back to Bill, and then it came to me. So now usually the authors just CC me and Bill to, they just send it to both of us together, and Claire. And then that way, if I have questions or if they have questions for me or Claire, we can just, we don't have to worry about Bill being at fancy bar fun time with his friends.
In West Seattle.
Go back
Right.
in West Seattle in White Center where it's all fancy and how to do. We can just answer questions. It works out so it's faster that way.
That makes
And
sense.
sometimes speed helps.
Yes.
I enjoy that as I take a swig from my coffee.
Coffee. But
Fancy.
so they do have the creative freedom a little to expand on the story or change the story? Or
Absolutely.
Okay.
So really the only thing so the adventure description provides them just like a 3 or 4 sentence paragraph on what the adventure is going to be, what we want from the adventure. And then they make up probably 80% of it, 90% of it on their own. Like we'll have like the persistent elements that we want, like it should feature this location or it should feature this bad guy, or it's just, we just go and they write, a 10,000 word adventure off of 3 to 4 sentences.
And do you tell them what levels it should be?
Yes, so
That's
they
part
get
of what you
assigned
tell
a
them?
tier. So it'll be either tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, or tier 4. So really they get the description, the tier, the duration, so whether it's 2 hours or 4 hours, and then the magic item. Anything beyond that is subject to the whims of their
Right.
imagination.
Claire, can you talk a little bit about what each magic item you get in each one of these adventures? That sounds pretty exciting.
Magical.
Well, that's kind of, it varies. We base the rarity on the tier that the adventurer is going to have, and look at the location, what would be something logical to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And occasionally we'll go back and forth on it, but and then go through go through the DMG and other resources and say, pick this one. This makes sense, and we'll argue about it, but come to consensus and put it in the concept.
That's pretty cool. Do you guys ever, find a situation where there is no perfect magic item for that adventure, and then do you make one up, and how does that work?
We don't make new magic items. We, if it's nothing that speaks out to us, we'll look at what we've put out so far and see if there's something that a class or that's not been given any love or something, because put a magic item in for them.
Oh, you mean so like a class that hasn't gotten a
like a
the
bard
chance to
getting
have
an instrument.
Right, I see.
But we also have to look at a little bit on where the author might have a way of putting it in the adventure. Where do they, you have to think a little bit on where would they find it, how would it fit in. So hopefully, we're not creating a major obstacle for the author.
Do you ever find groups that don't end up getting the magic item for whatever reason?
That can happen, especially if it's a more open adventure where an item's placed in one room and they never go there.
Right.
That can be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Or they do something that is so against what the author thought would happen that there's no way the NPC would give it to them if it's a reward.
Right, they go so far outside the bounds of what was possible.
They take a left turn and end up in Albuquerque, and they miss out on a magic item. We try to avoid those kind of situations, but you can't always adjust for every player.
Yeah.
No, you never know. So were there any adventures, I'm sure in the time that you've been doing this, and any time when the adventures start getting turned in, that you were just like, yes, this is amazing, I can't wait for people to play this one? Is there any from this season that stand out as like, people are really going to love this particular, without giving us spoilers?
Who do you want to talk to about that?
Oh. Travis?
I feel like they were both trepidatious about wanting to answer you.
Travis, you look like you want to answer it.
Oh, no. We can't hear Travis now.
God.
We can't hear Travis.
Oh, no.
Wait.
There. That was my fault.
You muted yourself.
I muted myself because I was screaming 2-year-old in the background, so I didn't want to. So from this season, I have it on good authority that 7-5, which is the last of the Tier 1 adventures, is particularly amazing, but that's because I wrote it.
Wow.
That makes perfect sense.
There is an adventure, I believe, that premiered this month called Unusual Opposition. The adventure number escapes me at the moment, but it deals with a how do I want to put this? So it deals with subject material that I've always found very, very interesting. So I'm very excited to hear the feedback on that one.
Nice.
How do you get the feedback?
Well, a lot of it on Facebook, but we do have on the Dungeon Masters Guild, folks that purchase the adventures have the opportunity to leave reviews.
Oh, okay.
And we've got DM quests where, Adventures League DMs can leave reviews, and for every so many reviews they leave, they get credit for faction stuff and all kinds of stuff like that. 7-9, thank you, Merrick. 7-9 is Unusual Opposition.
Yes.
All right.
And if you know your lore about monsters, the name makes total sense. Otherwise, it probably doesn't.
Oh my gosh! So
over my head.
we're in season 7 now, right?
Yes. We are
Yes.
knee deep in season 7.
I get the
We were,
numbering
halfway
wrong.
Through.
I suggest you guys change them to Tomb of Annihilation season.
Yes.
Yeah. TOA-09.
Storyline season 7, Tomb of Annihilation.
Got it.
Semicolon, and I'm just making that up. As
Yeah,
I go
right.
now.
Quotation mark, banana,
Banana.
closed quotation mark.
Mhm.
That makes total sense. So, right, you're going through those adventure arcs now, and you guys are now prepping for season 8, correct?
Not yet. So season 8 or season 7 is it going to be a really long season. It's going to run through summer. So we haven't started really work on season 8. We know what it is, and we've done some stuff, but like AL preparation, we haven't really started off yet.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
we've got a lot of changes coming with season 8 that we're ironing out now.
Changes
for the
yes, exactly.
adventures, or how
No,
the Adventurers League. Did we talk about this last time?
What?
The changes. Can you tell us?
Yeah. So in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, there was some new rules for advancement and all kinds of stuff in the back of that, and we're in discussions and negotiations now as far as how we're going to implement that kind of stuff. And,
You mean as far as the downtime goes?
downtime, XP, all kinds of stuff.
Oh,
It's an interesting problem, right? Because in a home game, you can choose to have the narrative not advance for X amount of days or hours as you do downtime activities, making magic items, things like that. But when you're in a shared campaign like the whole D&D Adventurers League, it's like, how do you abdicate that? How do you be like, okay, this character can have, and you guys have done that with like weeks, right? You're like, oh, you have this week of downtime and this week of downtime, and you get
You
those
still use
rewards.
days as a unit, but yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Claire, maybe you can talk a little bit more about like how you deal with the downtime now and how you're thinking about it for the future.
Not really.
Well, what about now? Oh, do you not want to do that now? That makes total sense.
It's a very fluid topic.
Yeah.
And it's one that gets a lot of people excited, and I think we have to manage expectations. So I'm a little leery of talking about something that we've only briefly touched on, talking among ourselves.
That makes total sense. Sorry if I set you up for disaster. That's what
Good
I like
one.
to do as a dungeon
That's what he
master.
tried, but that's also how Greg rolls. He
It's
tries
true.
to like trip you up and make you say things you're not supposed to and get you in trouble with Chris Lindsay.
So rather than ask that, I will go with more about. You guys mentioned that you take the adventures and you edit them. Are you then the editors of the admin of the whole group? Then that's your role.
Yes.
How does that? What's your process for that? How do you go about that when you get the full manuscript and start to make red marks on it? So to
Well,
speak.
Travis starts that.
Okay.
Once we go back and forth with the author a little bit. Once he sends us the draft and it gets play tested. So we send him back the play test feedback, and then eventually he, hopefully in a timely manner, he sends us back the adventure adjusted for playtest, and then Travis goes through and looks for style things that might still be off, and plot and character things that might have a hole here and then. And once he's gone through his edit, then he sends it back through me, so that I've kind of gotten really used to what Wizards often ask of the organized play for what's in an adventure and how the words are used.
Mm-hmm.
And I can spot the word will in like at 90 meters.
Which word?
Will.
W-I-L-L?
The characters will do something. No, the characters do something. The monsters will do something. No, the monsters do something.
Is that like the future tense? What is that called? The future perfect tense? Something like that? You just, as a style, don't use that?
Right. It's something that for years now I've had the people that I've responded to at Wizards basically pound that into my head. So I look for things that I look at and send him back my edits and any questions or holes I might see, and then we put it together and Travis sends it off.
That's cool.
But Travis does most of the heavy lifting.
Nice. That makes sense. I have one of those editing things too that one of my editors who was teaching me that just jammed in my brain. I can't ever get it out.
What?
Is when people say something is over 45 or like, you don't never want to go over, we had over 10,000 hours of people watching stuff.
Yeah.
She always was like, over is, is a placement of things on top of something. That is over. If you have more than, you have the number is like we're talking about numbers is more than. And she always was a stickler about that. Every time I try to be like, this game has over 9,000 people playing it right now, they'd be like, she has more than. She always changes it to more than. And I've gotten used to it now. I can kind of let it go, but it still bothers me on a visceral level.
Jeez.
I know, right?
Noted.
So I know what you're talking about, Claire, where you have that like, this is the one thing that like, if you learn anything, this is never use the word will. Yeah.
The writers do submit their work correctly.
Yeah. Right.
Not will.
Exactly.
See what I did there?
They do their do saves.
Right there.
Their do saves must be pretty high. Wait, that doesn't work.
Not so much.
So, Travis, when did you start playing both the Dungeons and the Dragons? Did you start as a kid? Did you start in your adulthood?
I think I was like 11 or maybe 10. I was in 5th grade, and my mom actually, unlike Bill, who, I don't know if he went into this with you, but he had, controversial reactions to his desire to play D&D. My mom bought me the red box when I was a youth.
Yeah, the opposite.
Good for her.
Yes, good for her. But she didn't like to play, and none of my friends did. So it was mostly me, like, drawing. You know, it was the 80s, so D&D back then was everything was mazes. So going to draw a maze and put things in it. And I would run my mother through terrible, terrible adventures while she was trying to, you know, cook
Oh my God,
or
that's
you know,
so
do
cute.
whatever.
You were
And watch General Hospital.
trying to play with her?
Yeah, she didn't want nothing to do with it. So it's like, oh, here's this awesome game, but you can, you know,
That's
Right.
really cute.
yeah,
That is pretty cute.
go watch G.I. Joe or something, you know, and just draw mazes.
I bet
So
in
that
her
was D&D
mind,
for me
I
for
bet
a
in her
long
mind
time.
she was like, I got you this so you wouldn't bother me
Right.
anymore.
Yeah, that's what it probably was. Jerk.
Having kids myself now, right? That's pretty much what you do.
That is
Yeah.
adorable.
It's just distractions.
Now, did you ask for the red box, or was it something
No,
like
I
she saw
don't-
and she was like, "My kid's gonna love this"?
I think it was in reaction. She probably saw me watching the D&D cartoon at some point, like some Saturday morning, and you know, bought me that because she thought that I was into it. I didn't even know that it was a game at the time, but
We've heard that a lot where people were like, I mean, I think myself too. Like I watched the cartoon and never really put it
Yeah.
together that it was like a thing to play until, you know, a year or two later.
yeah. And then, you know, getting older, I learned about other games. Like I was really big into Palladium systems for a long time. Like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is kind of a standard for folks to cut their teeth on. But then, you know, going into high school, you know, listening to Back to the Hotel and stuff like that. I didn't have time for you know,
Play
for
things in my
nerdery.
youth.
But, you know, there was a good 2 or 3 years where I was just too cool for school, you know. So
That
kind of
ended
fell
quickly.
out. Yeah, fell out for a
years.
while.
You only had 2 good years.
Yeah.
And you were like, "Yeah."
And then I was like, oh, well, I'm
nerd.
not fooling anybody. So took the packet of blackjack out of my pocket, threw that away, and then joined the Army and shocked, like, surprisingly huge gaming population in the military.
Yeah.
Because I think most of them are just bored. So
It's a great
got back into
downtime.
it then,
Speaking of
and
downtime, that's like perfect, right? You're in. You don't
hurry
need.
up and wait is what they say.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good enough for government work.
It's good enough for government work. So got back into it then, and then, you know, that was 95. So pretty much solid since then. I've been playing
Dude, that's like 23 years.
Yeah.
long
Good,
time.
Good math. Good
Yeah.
math.
Every once in a while,
You're not a real theater guy.
Just like, yeah.
the arithmetic discuss. It's mostly from Dungeons and Dragons. It's where I learned how to like
Really?
add and subtract numbers
I can
quickly.
add anything to a D20 roll.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I did. It was 20 years plus 3. I'm like, all right, yeah, I got it.
See? You get it?
That's awesome. And were you always playing D&D Adventurers League?
No, so in 2000 oh god, what year was it? 2003. So I got out of the military in 2000. My wife was still in, and we moved to the Netherlands.
Really?
Yeah, so we lived in the Netherlands for a few years. I had a group there. I had 2 groups there, and then moved back to Washington, or not back to Washington. Moved to Washington in 2003, where I ran into Bill again. So Bill, we've been following each other across the country for like the last, I'm not going to say the number, 22 years. So he was in Washington. I showed up in Washington. We ran into each other. And then on Meetup, I found a group of people that played Living Greyhawk at the public library, and showed up. And it was kind of, sometimes people that enjoy our shared hobby there's a stigma, and I ran into some interesting people, but yeah, I mean, in the 14 years since then, I've met some of the closest friends I've ever had just playing Living Greyhawk, then Living Forgotten Realms, and now Adventures League.
That's pretty cool. I mean, it changed. I mean, you're tracing a little bit how the organized play kind of changed and morphed over the course of several years there. So that's pretty awesome. We talked about that in the last interview with Bill Benham. If you guys are and Greg Marks, if you're interested in getting more history about that. So cool. It's awesome that you're able now to do that now for people and kids who are getting into D&D now. They're having that through the stuff that you're working on.
Yeah, and it's scary and humbling and exciting and satisfying all at the same time.
Nice. I like all those.
It's a whirlwind of different feelings and.
You're
emotions.
a glass case of emotion all
Yes.
the time.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's like.
Nice.
What about you, Claire? What's your history with D&D?
It's a tad longer. A friend at work, we've been talking books, and they realized I was into science fiction and fantasy books, as well as the genres that we had in common. And she told me her husband was running this game on Saturdays, and she would like to have somebody that she knew playing it, because she wasn't interested in playing it, but she liked the idea of having somebody she knew playing it. And her husband was an Army recruiter. And so Saturdays I went over, and he had me work up a fighter, and that was the fall of 1978. And that's when I first started playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Nice.
And you were hooked ever since.
Yeah, basically had home games off and on as I moved about a bit. That was in Minnesota, and I moved back east and eventually to Philly and had a home game there. And then started going to Gen Con for vacation.
Very cool. But when it was in Madison,
When
right?
it's-
Milwaukee?
No, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, to get away from work, because they couldn't call me for ask me a question if I was that far away. In the days before cell phones and such, it was, and that's actually where I met my husband.
At Gen Con?
Yes, we met. We attended a couple seminars together, and we were both members of the RPGA, and we played a tournament on a Friday night, and met for lunch the next day, and exchanged phone numbers, and we got married before the next Gen Con.
Oh, wow.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
That's pretty
So-
cool. Was it a ceremony at Gen Con, or was it?
No.
Okay.
No. We had this ceremony in Philly, had part of our honeymoon, stopped in Ohio where he lived and I was moving to, changed out suitcases and gaming bags, and then went to Gen Con.
Sounds
Good deal.
perfect.
That sounds like a perfect honeymoon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good.
So tell me a little bit about the RPGA, what it was like back then, because that's something I was always fascinated about.
The RPG back then, admittedly, majority of the members got it for Polyhedron, which had a lot of articles written by members as well as people in the industry.
Was the Polyhedron a magazine?
Yes, it was a magazine that came out with somewhat irregularity until Jean Bray took it over, and she managed to get it off in a bi-monthly situation. And her and Skip Williams. And so there, at cons, like at Gen Con, there'd be what we call tournaments at the time, which were adventures with pre-reg characters, pre-made characters, complete with a background and each other and what you thought about the other characters in the group, and you'd sit down at a table, and sometimes the DM would just have them face down on the table, and you pick blindly and played that character. So you'd have and occasionally a DM will say, well, give you the classes and let you pick from which class you prefer to play. So that's the kind of adventures that we're doing then. And
a lot of those tournament adventures turned into classics that we know now, like Tomb of Horrors and things like that. Those were tournament adventures.
Right. And then a project got started up in Polyhedron describing places in a city called Ravensbluff.
Mm-hmm.
And so the RPG members described the town, the different businesses, the different things. And then at Gen Con, I did not play in the first 2 years. The first one, however, my husband did. The first one was before we got married, On the Way to Ravensbluff. And the second one was, At Last Ravensbluff. I played in the third one, which was Night Watch. But the idea then was that you created 2 copies of your character and you handed one in so that the next year they would assumingly hand you back your character.
Oh.
That last by the 4th year it was so popular that they had to stop that. But
because they couldn't hold on to all those character sheets for that long, like
right, and there was a clamor for it to for other conventions to be able to have Living City Adventures.
Oh, I see. So it wasn't like you turn them in, you can't ever play them again. There was the idea. That was where the idea was born, that you could take it to different events and different conventions.
Right. At first, it was only at Gen Con, and then they said everybody was going, but we want to play that more often. And,
right. Not just once a year. That's crazy.
Right. Yeah. Not just once a year. We want to build a relationship with our characters and play them all over the place. So, yeah.
That's fascinating.
So that's how Living City started.
Oh, wow.
And then it was Living City different than Living Greyhawk? How did it transform into that?
Yeah. Living City was kind of, everything occurred in that area or around it. So it was very deep. The adventures, people built up adventures over time. Living Greyhawk was basically when 3rd edition occurred. And it was the basis of 3rd edition. And at that point, trying to go for a different feel, a different look in organization, each trying to, because occasionally people would go, I can't play often because there's not enough cons in my area, whatever. Each state, or in some cases, a couple of states together, became a different country. In Greyhawk, and I believe, and so there was a triad who ran that area for the people, and you could only play the adventures those adventures in that state.
Right, and Greg Marks in the previous interview that we did, he was wearing the one that was from the Wisconsin area.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Which was, I'm forgetting the name of it. That was Sylvan.
Yeah, Wisconsin. No, High Folk.
High Folk.
Yeah.
High Folk.
Yep.
That's right. Very interesting. Yeah. All right, that's so cool. So then if it went from Living City, and Living Greyhawk didn't start until 2000 when 3rd edition came out, did Living City continue? From 1980 to 2000.
It continued a tad past that.
Mm-hmm.
They ran a vote on whether to convert or not, and they ended up trying to convert it to 3rd edition with some success, some headaches.
Were you involved in that?
Just as a player at the time, though. Cool. My husband was doing the clerical circle for the city, so by association, I got involved in some of the headaches.
That makes sense. So that's cool. I didn't realize that Living City lasted so long. So it started around 1978, 79 and went all the way to...
No, Living City started in 90, 91. 90 was the 3rd year, so 88.
Oh, 87, 88.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, math. I'm really good at math,
90,
yes.
Gen Con 90 was the third year.
Okay.
Yeah. But it lasted in some form through the beginning of 3rd edition.
So do you think that and this is to both of you, because Travis and Claire, you guys can hear each other now, right? Am I crazy?
I have heard him off and on, yes.
Heard him off and on as Ryan was
muting himself.
You can hear Claire. Okay, good.
I can hear Claire.
Phew. And can you hear that, Claire?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Oh, I see
Yay,
the top
Ryan
of
Mars.
a little head.
We got a little baby head over there. Hi, little baby head.
I see a little baby head.
Aww. So
you got me chapstick.
Based on that's important. You need the chapstick. So what do you think the D&D Adventurers League now, have you learned the lessons of all of the past incarnations of organized play? Like, I'm trying to trace like the history of like when it started into what we're doing now.
So we stood up in July of 2014 when 5th edition launched at Gen Con.
Yeah.
That's when our first adventures premiered. So the one thing that, I played LG, I played LFR. I didn't play Living City because I didn't know I was still in Europe then. But
we'll forgive you.
One of the things that we try to do now is keep. I'm trying to think of how to put this. We want to make sure that DMs are empowered to run the games the way they like to, the way their players like to, as opposed to some of the more rigid play styles that we had back in Living Greyhawk in the days of yore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're doing a really good job with that. The learning curve for the learning curve for the game itself. For 5th edition is way less steep than it was for 3rd edition. So being approachable is kind of the important thing.
Right,
we want to make sure that it's.
So you were saying that some of the older programs, it was harder for the dungeon master to kind of shape the story that they wanted to, and so now you guys are making sure you're able to do that more so at the table.
And plus, when with 3rd edition the rules it was a much more intense rule set than 5th edition is.
Right.
And along with the LGCS, the campaign setting, you also had mandatory rulings that you had to follow as far as how the rules were implemented. And then the big thing was the thing that I'm just scared to death of is having to go through each book and say, okay, this class is not allowed, this spell is not allowed unless you have this fancy unless you do a special mission or something like that. So we don't have the banned and restricted and open list. We just for the most part, just throw everything out there. We have a few things flying races at first level we try to steer away from, and that's just because our DMs, while it's gotten a lot better, DMs still that can be a significant challenge at low levels for new DMs. So we try to not
have 5 people who can fly to start an adventure at first level.
Yeah,
it's generally a good idea.
And just disallow or allow rules based on what we perceive as being, too powerful for, organized play. And really, at the end of the day, there's 5 of us or 6 of us and, billions of players. So they're going to win and outthinking the rules over us every day and twice on Sundays.
But you're trying to make it.
We are trying.
Fair and balanced and fun for everyone.
Yeah.
And the other major difference is that back then they had this odd little idea that if they wrote the adventure and told the DMs they had to run it exactly as written, everybody would have the same experience. And we've gone so far from that. We're as far as allowing DMs to add thematic appropriate monsters if they need to change it up for what the players bring to the table, and acknowledging that every DM's different, every group of players are different. They're going to have similar experiences, but they're not going to have the same experience, and that it's quite fine to do that.
Yeah. That seems to be a tenet of 5th edition as a whole, too, in all my conversations with Jeremy and Mike Merles and Perkins and all the rest of the team, is that acknowledging the fact that dungeon masters are going to bring different things to the table, different skill sets, and that everybody's table is going to be different, and use the rules as guidelines, but do what's best for your game. Now, you guys have to do a little bit more towards homogenizing the content so that people don't feel like, oh, that was a crappy thing, or this was, like you have to. So I respect you guys for having to deal with that. I think on the editor level, you probably deal with that a lot to make sure that, something that happens in the third adventure of a season doesn't mess up what you have planned for the 10th adventure in a season and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that is part of the thing too.
So are these adventures, is there supposed to be elements that carry over throughout, or do you avoid that, or do you actually try to encourage that?
We in seasons 1 and 2 and I think 3, we had a survey at the end of the adventure. We had a big old QR code that the players could look at with their phones, and it would use science and the internet to take them to a questionnaire that they could fill out.
Science.
Yeah, the responses were not. We didn't get a lot of responses. We got some responses. We didn't get a lot, but we tried to use those as a way to,
Guide your
shape
design.
Exactly. Yeah, and it was a lot more feasible than it is now, because back then, we wouldn't do all of the adventure concepts at the same time at the beginning of the season and then dump them out. We would do some and then release them, and then some and then release them, and then some and release them. So, when the first batch of adventures was done and people were responding to the questionnaire, the survey, we would get those back, and then usually we would be able to use them in the third batch of adventures that was going out. And that's where we came along. If for those viewers who are familiar with season 1.
Which was all about the Tyranny of Dragons, that whole
Tyranny of Dragons, yeah.
Rise of Tiamat.
So there was a cultist of the dragon by the name of Halvin who ventured into the Quivering Forest just north of Flan, who had entered into this pact with the Fae, hundreds of years ago. And the Fae would not pester the folks in Flan, and Flan wouldn't go and cut trees down. So this cultist of the dragon, went in there to try and convince the Dark Fae to betray Flan, betray the town, and help them invade and everything like that. And that went pear-shaped, and the pact was broken. I'm not going to say completely but largely because of, the adventurers were unable to convince the Fae to maintain the pact, and because of that, a great big green dragon named Vorgan Sharax attacked Flan and killed all the people that ran it and plunged the city into some very dark times. But now, when cut to now where we do all the adventure concepts at the beginning of the season, it's a lot more difficult to do that on a large scale like we did with the earlier seasons. But we can still put little nuggets of, Oh,
so you're saying that little bit of information was decided based on the play of the adventurers in the D&D Adventurers League.
In the early seasons, yeah.
In the early seasons, you were able to say okay, but this is now canon for the Forgotten Realms. Is that the Dark Fade and and Flan is gone.
So that was an existing story element that was that predeceased 5th edition.
Right.
Was the Fae.
Interesting.
But we were able to tweak it, and we got our pick from the story Bible that comes out at the beginning of each season. We got our pick of one of 3 pictures, and the picture I picked was this awesome picture of this green dragon kind of looming behind this throne with a pool of blood at the bottom of it. So I was like, that's what we're going with.
Neato. Yep. So I've seen a few people ask about this in chat, and it's pretty much one of the major goals for D&D Adventurers League is is it easy to jump in? Is this the best conduit for people to get an introductory experience of Dungeons and Dragons if they're interested in it? And what strides have you guys done in trying to make sure that is true, so that people won't go to a game store or a convention or anywhere that a D&D Adventurers League is being played, that they can feel like they're in a welcoming, good place and get their a good representative activity of playing Dungeons and Dragons. Is that true, Claire? How do you guys work on making sure that is true for all of the seasons here?
Well, part of that is making sure that all are represented in the adventures, and doing it in a way that's not artificial, yeah, as far as that's concerned. And by the code of conduct that we put out there for the league as a whole, and remind DMs in the beginning, there's always a beginning part of the adventure where you remind DMs this is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to include everyone, and of our general code of conduct.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, also from the crafting of the adventures and stuff like that too. You're also thinking about it from that aspect.
Well, you have to think about it simply from the aspect of you don't know what type of character is going to show up at the table, as well as what type of player. Right. There's all varying different play styles. So having options for the group that really likes to role play their way through a combat, or around a combat, or the group that's really smart about puzzles. The way you get welcoming to them is by having different styles of adventures, not every adventure being exactly alike. You can't make one adventure, I don't believe, totally happy. One 4-hour adventure or 2-hour adventure totally hit everyone's happiness level with what occurs. But you can have enough different types of adventures that maybe one focuses more on role-playing, one focuses more on investigation, one focuses more on combat. Having a variety out there makes everyone feel like, okay, I didn't get to shine in this one, but I did in the one right before this.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yep.
That's cool. I like that. I think a lot of people do have their first experiences, going through the content that you guys are shaping and crafting. So kudos to you for, I don't know, just being that first experience for a lot of people. It sounds like it's similar to a lot of your first experiences while playing too, is getting them up to speed with what makes Dungeons & Dragons fun. And I like that you're paying attention to the fact that everybody's different and you're not always going to get exactly what you want. I mean, I think that's all really admirable, and it's doing good work.
Yep.
We try.
All right, then.
You do.
Where can people, if they're interested after they listen to this, where can people try to find the first Dungeons & Dragons Adventurers League thing that they're going to play? Claire, go ahead. Do it.
Where they're going to find to play it?
Yeah. Where would you say if someone's like, hey, I want to do this, where would you suggest they look first?
They could look in their local store. A lot of the gaming stores have nights that they devote to D&D Adventure League play, and have meetups, some of them in local conventions. If they want to start their own group, they can go to DM's Guild and download the DM pack and the player pack and just play in their home. Mm-hmm. If they have a group and they want to try Adventure Leagues on their own, in their own home, you can play it just about anywhere. If you don't have a group, though, going to your local game store or looking for a local convention that has gaming is probably your best bet.
Yeah, I like that change that came, gosh, what was that, 2 years ago already, where you could download the adventures from the Dungeon Masters Guild and play them anywhere. I love that idea of, like, you can run an event at the top of a lighthouse. You can run an event in your, the basement of your school. You can run an event, on the International Space Station. Like, you can do it wherever you are and still feel like you're participating in this. I know, right? Now I want to go pitch the
Now
ISS.
it's like,
yeah.
We need to get Alan Patrick and Lisa on that.
Yeah, do it. Make it happen. If they are the only ones that can do it, we'll get Sue the T-Rex and all the museums in Chicago to play it too. We can get people on the moon to play it. But yeah, right. You can get these, and people have always been asking about like, bite-sized adventures, because the big published adventures we do are 256 pages. There's a lot of content to get through. But these adventures that Dungeons that you guys are working on and editing and releasing over the course of a season, are those modules, are those, short little 2-hour or 4-hour things that people remember being produced back in the day for the tournament modules you guys were talking about too. So yeah, you can do those and play them anywhere.
Good way to get a taste of the story too.
Yeah, right. Because they're ancillary to the to the big adventures, but they're not going to give away stuff. But you feel like you're still participating in Tomb of Annihilation when you're doing the Tomb of Annihilation season, right?
Yes.
Right.
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 I love it.
I love it when a plan comes together.
It's like it's
Totally
been planned.
plan comes together.
So where can people find out about what you guys are personally doing? So let's go with you, Travis. Where can people find you if they want to message you about how awesome you are editing D&D Adventurers League adventures?
I have a Twitter account.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
dot.
not super active. Usually it involves me retweeting things that have my name on them like 2-3 weeks afterwards. I almost do it intentionally at this point.
Nice. Well, you're going to get a whole
but
lot
I
of
am
followers now.
Yeah. I am at Travis Woodall on the Twitter. I am also on Facebook. I am fairly active in both. We have 2 Facebook groups. We have D&D Adventures League, and we have a D&D Adventures League DM discussion group.
Oh, cool.
The former, mostly we try to focus on, here are some cons, here are some, updates for the program, here are general program rules. We try to keep the general rule discussion out of that stuff, so we put that into a D&D Adventures League DM discussion.
Whoa!
Yeah,
Someone's excited about that.
Someone's excited about that group.
So I'm really active on those, and then I am also on just Facebook. I don't know my Facebook.
Is your name?
I mean, yeah. It's just
It's Travis
it's
Woodall.
my name. And
Nice.
I don't know what my phone is. Travis Woodall. Travis.Woodall1.
One.
Yeah.
Okay.
Singular sensation. What about you, Claire? Where can people find out more about what you're doing for the D&D Adventures League?
Well, I'm a little bit more active than Travis on Twitter, at Dragonview Claire for Twitter, and I also occasionally post on Facebook. Usually Travis is so quick to answer questions that I don't post that often.
Nice. Way to compliment him into doing more work.
Mm-hmm.
I like
Yeah.
that. That was the right way to do it.
He's just quicker.
He's just so much better at it than I am.
That's how
He's
I
more
get out doing the
attached to
dishes
his
in my house.
computer and notifications than I am.
Oh, okay. That's where the truth is out now.
Yes, he doesn't have to feed cats, so.
Awesome. All right. Well, people can message you there, and you said you were in the throes of working on some stuff about Downtime as well as season 8, and I can't wait to get in touch with you guys more about the future of D&D Adventures League. There's a lot coming down the pipe.
A lot coming down the pipe.
Yes.
Always things coming down the pipe.
Awesome.
Yes.
Oh,
And I forgot to say, you can also email Claire and I at content@dndadventuresleague.org.
Okay.
So if you have questions about the campaign, the story, or if you just want to yell at me
Or just say
or
hi.
Claire.
Or Claire, because we both get that.
Nice. I'm going to send you an
sorry.
email right now.
Yelling?
Yes.
Click. Just sent. I was yelling.
Travis is literally the worst. Hashtag
Literally.
angry face.
I was told I was supposed to make fun of your rag around your head at some point, but
Yeah, it's a problem. So I'm trying to grow my hair out, and in between George Clooney and Fabio, it's like 2 years of Charles Manson. So it's not pretty.
We're in the
good.
Charles Manson phase.
We are like
I thought it was a
steadfastly in the
beanie.
Charles
I didn't
Manson
realize.
phase.
What?
it's a good thing
not a hat.
your
It's
forehead
a-
is clear. That's
No,
all that
it's
really
like a-
matters.
Oh, yeah.
It's a problem. I mean,
It's all right.
Well,
it looks good.
You're doing well. You're doing well. Well, thank you guys so much for
I'm pulling it off.
thanks
You're
for taking the
totally pulling it
time
off.
to talk fashion tips with Shelley. If you
Yep.
need
With Shelley and Greg.
if you need more, please call into Fashion Tips.
We're gonna get those branded hairbands.
Yeah.
for the grow out.
And Claire, I feel like we have to do a whole nother interview with you to trace all of the things that Travis is doing wrong with his hair, as well as the history of the RPGA and all
what
that
a
stuff.
great resource.
Yeah,
Claire.
I feel like we just scratched the surface. There's so much more to talk about there.
History.
Yes.
So we'll have
Yes,
you
because I am old. Yes.
on. No, because you have a wealth of knowledge.
She could do like a lore
Yes.
you should know. And, like
Yeah.
It's a repository.
You're like
organized
Elminster, but
play
cooler.
Lore. Less hairy.
Thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you more soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Pleasure.
Bye,
Thanks
guys.
for having us.
No problem.
It was an hoot.
Yep.
And history. It was an Anne Hoot.
And Hoot and
Yes.
Nanny.
Anne Woot and Nanny.
And Nanny.
Gosh, I feel like there's so much more history of the OP, the organized play, as they
I
call it
didn't
here in the
realize
building.
how long ago the living stuff started.
I didn't either.
and It's not that different than it is today.
No, yeah. I want to get more of the meta stuff of like how because I remember hearing stories from grognards back in the day, like, oh, I have a shop in so and so town, and you're like, what? I'm like, yeah, in the RPG I have a shop that I run that I can trade magic items or whatever and do all that. I'm like, oh my god, that's so cool. It makes it feel like you're really in a living city.
Yeah.
It's a great idea, great way to put it forth. Nice. So we'll have the living D&D Adventurers League.
And you got to be part of an association.
And they're all cursing me for saying all these things, I'm sure. I'm
You
the
say it,
problem.
so it shall be true.
I know, exactly. You just got to imagine it, and it becomes so.
There you go.
Like a dungeon master.
It's like just channel the universe.
Bum, bum, bum.
There you go.
So.
Fun.
Yeah, good times all around town.
They're hardworking people.
Exactly.
Those admins.
Yeah.
Also, you can have fun.
You can have fun while working at your job. It's possible.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Or wherever.
Or while playing Dungeons & Dragons on
Right.
the International Space Station. How are we going
Or
to make that
or
happen?
in a lighthouse.
Yeah, or a lighthouse.
A
right?
lighthouse would be kind of
Why
cool.
is the lighthouse? I always go to that because I'm like,
Do you?
It's such a great idea to be like, what if you were playing D&D in a lighthouse? You know,
It'd probably be cold and uncomfortable, but still pretty cool.
it would have to be a seafaring, campaign. It'd have to be something that had
Yeah.
to do with why you were in the
That would
lighthouse.
be really cool.
But it would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, to see it all unfold before you.
A lot of stairs.
Right, but then you would just walk up once and just stay in the
Is there,
the top of the lighthouse the whole
I
time.
guess.
Maybe I'm actually just I have no conception of what the actual architecture of a lighthouse
where's
is.
the bathroom in a lighthouse?
It's on the light. You just pee on the light and it it evaporates immediately.
That doesn't sound safe.
Do not hire Greg to work on your lighthouse. That's what that means.
If Greg invites you to a lighthouse to play D&D,
Bring
a bucket.
This is true, and a mask. I don't know why.
I don't know either.
I don't know why, because it's Halloween and it's a masquerade.
Oh,
All right,
it's a seafaring
so
adventure.
that was tons of fun. We have lots of more delving into D&D Adventurers League and other interviews. In fact, next week we're talking to the RPG research team, which will be really fascinating.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
That's our jam.
Yeah, plus with some fun lore you should know. I think we're going to talk about the Goliath race.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
How
what we got
organized
planned
you are.
for next time. I
Look
know.
at that.
Exactly. I like know the future. We're getting better at time traveling. I went into
And
the
we know
future
the dates.
and I came back into this timeline.
But you didn't have to go so far into the future like last time.
Well, the weird thing is I stepped on a butterfly in the future,
Ooh.
and I don't think that matters anymore, right? The butterfly effect doesn't go backwards, does it? I'm screwed. We're all dead. That's what's happened. That's what I screwed up our timeline by doing this.
Goodbye.
So if you want to get in touch with me about how I screwed up the timeline, I'm not going to throw it to you. I'm going to do it first. You can message me on Twitter. I'm at Greg Tito. I'm also on the Instagrams with Greg_Tito. Been throwing lots of pictures up there.
I gotta follow. Oh, I am following you.
You are following me.
I am.
Did you see? I posted a picture of Edna made a unicorn out of construction
That's my
paper and tape.
favorite.
It's so good.
I would buy it.
Yeah. She also did a sleeping owl, which I know you would love.
Oh, I would like
Yeah.
that.
And I'm like, why is this owl? That's so cute. Why does it have its eyes closed? And they're
lot
like,
of
because
art.
it's sleeping, Dad. I'm like, oh, that makes total
Is it the
sense.
same medium with the construction paper?
No, totally different. It was just It was just a line drawing with yeah,
She's
it's amazing.
really good.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love waking up to being like, what kind of art?
You
did she
should
make?
follow Greg on Instagram just to see his daughter's drawings.
It's
They're
true.
so good. And I have one.
She
I have
gave
two,
it to you.
actually. I have two.
She gave it to you.
They're both hanging up.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yep.
I had a few people who wanted that owl one. They're like, I need
I
this.
like the unicorn one. I was kind of digging.
It's jazzy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, I also do some D&D adventures and, talk about what's going here in the office, but
Oh, once in a while.
mostly kids stuff.
It's mostly the kid drawings.
Mostly. What about you? How can people get in touch with you?
Well, I'm on the Twitters at Shelly Moo or the Facebooks.
Yeah? Were you talking about the new Bachelor season on your Facebook?
I am.
Oh,
You can go to the
God.
Shelly Mazanoble writer page if you want your Bachelor updates. You will get them like 5 to 6 days late, but you'll get them.
There'll be an update.
Still an update.
You'll still make fun of all the contestants.
Well, I don't make fun. I just talk about what they did. If that's making fun, that's what they did.
It's true. Most of
Like
it is
crying about bumper cars.
that.
Pressed memory. Is Erin watching?
I think she is. Yeah.
She's hiding it.
I
from
put on
me.
my headphones. I can't even hear it. It makes me angry.
This season would make you really angry.
Oh God. Yeah. I think I remember.
It's not even a good Bachelor.
Wasn't the dude like from a previous one?
Yeah,
I was
like
he
5
was,
years ago.
and he was like
didn't like him then.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought it was one from a more recent one.
No.
All right.
It was a long time ago.
We were going to have a podcast just talking about The Bachelor, but we decided to just work it into Dragon Talk. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for indulging me.
You're awesome. We are going to be back next week with some more Dragon Talk fun stuff.
Yeah, we are.
But until then, I think those rocks are going to have to fall.
Oh, no. Oh, ow!
Everyone's dead. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Hi, everyone.
I see.
I've-
Do the Magic Garden thing. Do the Magic Garden thing.
Oh, I see
see.
Mazmataz.
Hi, Mazmataz.
I don't think she actually is here. I don't see.
Oh.
I see Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
I see Slit 518. You've been very active in there. Hello. I see Holcomb 73. Hi there.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Subnet Striker. Are you still on? I like you. I was going really far up there.
That's a lot of chatter going on.
Yeah, you guys were talking about a whole lot of stuff. How's it going? Did you enjoy all of that talk? I hope you did. I see Axis too. Hi.
Oh, hey. This was
How's
a
it
very neat
going?
rocks falling today.
Yeah, it was Reading Rainbow, wasn't it? The Magic Mirror and Reading Rainbow. What are you talking about?
The Magic Garden.
Magic
I'm sure they
Garden?
all did. I know like Romper Room did it.
Romper
They-
Room did it too.
They looked in the mirror, but
That was the one that I was thinking about. Was Romper Room?
it was the Magic Garden that has stayed with me.
That must have just been an upstate
and
New
then
York
like
thing.
it was definitely a New York thing because it was on WPIX.
Oh.
Picks.
Channel 11,
Picks.
WPIX.
Picks.
Yeah, that's where the Yankees used to be on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's also where I would watch the MASH. And
Oh, really?
yeah, it was syndicated like crazy.
Yeah. Well, that was the Magic Garden. That was my favorite.
Good job. Everybody's still there. All right. Well, I just wanted to thank you all for bearing with us and all of those wonderful technical challenges.
Yeah, that
We
was
got through them,
fun.
though. Like, by the end of it, that was a solid show.
It was really well. Thanks to our guest.
Well, thanks to Ryan Marth.
Oh, and him.
Yeah.
And Pelham.
I think
And Sean.
he earned an extra tattoo today. You get you get one.
He gave himself a tattoo back there. He
Oh,
said
that's
it
what he was doing? That's how it all
He
came
said
together?
it was less painful than
Yeah.
having to deal with those audio issues.
And it was like a tattoo on his finger bones. And you're
Yeah.
like, that's, he
Yeah.
can still deal with it. Dice knocked over equals day complete. That is right,
Aw.
DC Lasser.
Go to bed now, DC.
Go to bed now.
Your day is
Oh,
over.
and look, we have a little.
Oh,
Hi,
there's
little.
the little. Hi, cute stuff.
You guys can't, I don't know, can they see it still? No, the Twitch audience can't see it. So yeah, Travis's kid is now on there for reals.
Cute.
Hi,
You
you're
are
awesome.
adorable.
We can't hear them, but we know that we're talking to you from our minds. I feel like I'm blowing child's minds at
You
this
are on
point.
TV.
Hi, how are
hello.
you? How's it going?
You're so cute.
You were making awesome sounds in the background the whole time.
Yep. And the chapstick was real cool.
Hi, nice wave. All right.
So cute.
We got to get our kids more on the podcast.
Mine.
Yeah.
Poop.
Boop,
Poop.
boop. Yeah.
That's all he
makes sense.
says to Alexa all day. Alexa, do you poop on your head? Alexa, do you know how to pee?
Does she answer it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Or then he goes, Alexa, can you play Booty Booty Poop Face on Spotify?
Is that an actual song?
No. But then she'll
my
go,
God.
I'm sorry, I can't find Booty Booty Poop Face.
That must drive him nuts.
Here's my girl instead.
my girl.
That's close.
Yeah. My father-in-law asked Alexa to play "I Don't Look Good When I'm Naked Anymore," which he thought was so clever. And then about halfway through, he's like, "Alexa, stop!" And I think it gets to like a dirty side. I haven't actually listened to the whole song.
This is a
I
real
don't know.
song?
It's some stupid like
Alexa, stop! No,
country-ish type of song.
Seriously.
Yeah, but now the girl they've literally mentioned it like 5 times each since.
Yep.
Papa did that, and I'm like, yeah, no, you're not gonna be listening to that song anymore. All right, we could regale you with so many stories about our kids, but we have to save something for next week.
Oh, he'll do more stuff.
Yeah, we'll do more.
Yeah.
You guys are all awesome in the chats. Thank you for subscribing. We're going to be out here. You can watch one final ad for those of you who really wanted to see our ads. It will roll after we're done here, and we're cleaning up in here, making it happen. So thank you, guys. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Tomorrow, we got more stuff coming up starting at 2 p.m. Pacific time with Mr. Bart Carroll.
Bart Carroll and his new T-shirts.
He's got new T-shirts. They have Dungeons and Dragons on them.
He was shirt shamed, and he feels really bad.